Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cliff's Notes. It is a beautiful day in EXP world today. EXPI is trading at a 52-week high, almost $20 a share, as our stock gets added to the S&P 600 small cap. Great things going on, especially on the commercial side, and you're going to meet the president of EXP Commercial next, Mr. James Huang, right here on Cliff's Notes. Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. Oh, the guarantees are back today, aren't they, C3?
Yes, sir.
I
We're
guarantee.
back in the studio. Yes, sir.
We are in the studio,
Yeah.
yes. We were temporarily unavailable, right?
Right.
But now we're back in, and it's great to be here.
Yeah.
I was in Vegas just recently, got in yesterday.
Right.
And, Travis, I must say, they are some big hockey fans out there.
Oh, yeah, they got the Vegas Knights, right?
The Vegas Knights, yes, the ones that kicked Dallas's rear end. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to go all the way against Florida. What do you think?
What is the series record now? Is it tied? Is it?
It's 1-1. The game. They got a game tonight, right?
Oh,
It's going to be the.
Since they beat us, I hope they win.
I
How
do
about
too.
that? Since
Yeah,
they
yeah,
beat
That's
us.
the only right thing to do. Well, speaking of winners, we happen to have as a guest on our show today one of the biggest winners in real estate. And let's go ahead and bring him on without any further ado. Mr. James Huang. James, and are you in, where are you today? Where in the world is James today?
I after seeing you got to go back a little bit, but in Miami with FIOPSI, Miami Commercial. There's the Portal Conference, so many other people to meet, some big teams to meet. So it's truly exciting, with this one company that's really traveling the globe and there's so much interest, as you know, Cliff. There is so much interest with what's been going on with EXP. So I'm really excited to share, especially on the commercial front.
Yeah, well, we're super excited too. And, it was great to reconnect with you in Dallas. You actually came in for a company that we're both involved with that happens to be on the commercial lending arena and that end. And man, it is a radically disruptive model that Mitch Ginsburg and his crew have cooked up. And they just I talked to Mitch earlier today, and yesterday they opened it up to onboarding MLOs, mortgage loan originators, for the first time. And man, the demand is really stripping what they thought they were going to see. I mean, they are really kicking some rear with getting LOs involved. So I'm excited about that. That's part of the commercial side, and I'm super excited to have you because, James, I remember being out. I think it was at it must have been at Shareholders back in 2017. When was EXP Commercial conceived? Wasn't it about that time?
We were in 2020, but I remember showing up in 2019 that I was invited to go to EXPCon in Vegas. So when it was smaller, I remember being invited by, I'd always have to say Tom Trong, but Scott Lewis. I've always got to watch, right, and Tracy, to see, what was going on, because I always said, you got to be open-minded, you got to be curious. So believe it or not, even though I said, no, I was tracking EXP for 5 years. I was on Tom Trong's list. So I was still open-minded to always explore, always be curious, seeing what's under the hood. So I've been watching and being part of the company stealth for many, many years before making the jump in 2020, which we all know what happened in 2020.
Oh my gosh, that was the second generation of the Great Recession, kind of, with a twist on it. Yeah, that was especially for commercial. I mean, my goodness, the office buildings, and I understand vacancy rates in office in NYC are still around 50%, somewhere around there. But Yeah, it's just been a crazy world, since you got over here, James.
You know, and that's the exciting thing because I know you rather be sometimes lucky than sometimes smart, or because what happened with COVID, because this was our company was built for Glenn Sanford's vision already was, hey, in the last recession, 2007, 2009, there must be a better way. There must be a better way to structure it. There may be a better way with agent centric. So just taking that blueprint back in 2009 to now with COVID hitting and everyone says, you can't go back to work. You can't go into the office. That radically changed the way we started doing business. We do it on Zoom. We do it on Google Meets. We find other ways, our metaverse. We all found different ways of working, collaborating, and moving forward. And those that didn't, well, we all know that those don't adapt, right? They kind of fall to the wayside. But many people actually said, I can work from Zoom. I can work from remote. And so when they try to get them back into the office starting in 2021, 2022, they're like, I don't need to go back in the office. I'm doing just fine.
It really is for those who didn't adapt. It had to be painful. It reminds me, I heard a statistic yesterday that from 1950 to 2020, 435 of the Fortune 500 companies went broke or gone. In other words, we've lost 87% of the Fortune 500 in that period of time. So it just speaks to what you were saying, which is, if you can't adapt and adopt, then you're facing a cruel destiny, to say the least. James, let's take a minute here, and I mean, you're the president now of EXP Commercial. You saw the future, and by the way, thank you for being open-minded, because one of the things that we do say on the show nearly every episode is it's probably the most expensive thing that a man can own, or a woman, is a closed mind, and it just goes to show that your open-mindedness and understanding Glenn's vision and your experience, it was a great marriage of things that came together. Let's talk a little bit about James early on. Like, tell us a little bit about, I mean, you've come a long way, right? The road looks really easy, but what was it like growing up? Where did you grow up, James?
Well, I was born in New York, so for the New Yorkers, that's where I was born. Moved to the Bay Area after my sister was born. Kind of moved around, but had a great time and experience in the Bay Area before I went to UCLA. Cut my teeth there before New York again for Wall Street and finance at Cliff, as we were talking a little bit about some of the companies you brought up, the 70s, 80s companies. But it was great to have the experience at Dean Witter before Morgan Stanley bought them. And then my first foray into commercial real estate was under one of the largest TIC syndicators in the country, where I got to learn from the master under Bob Rabati to understand how this worked, how his vision of growing that business from a nonprofit that he set up, TICA, and also how TICs work, which we all know what happened to the TICs later that transformed into DSTs. But with that experience, I got to see a lot of deals from Marcus and Millichap, and that's where I really started I don't want to be a W-2. I want to get into now being my own, right? Entrepreneur. We say if you're not getting a paycheck, you're an entrepreneur. So from that full time in 1999, I jumped over to Marcus to learn the business. And boy, I loved it. I didn't mind the cold calling. I didn't mind the hard work ethics, right? We know now more than ever, you got to keep your hard work ethics. Maybe you have nothing to do, but treat every day like a job. Still getting up very early, still working like I was a rookie in the business, and I haven't changed. I just got smarter, faster, with better connections. But that's how I first started, from a W-2, learning, listening, watching, to taking the leap into commercial real estate at a very tough commercial real estate firm. But I survived and thrived. And I love it, and I love the experience before I started really my first company.
Now, was this back in the 80s, James? In the 90s? When were you at Marcus and Millichap?
Yes, I was at Marcus from 99 to 2004.
99 to 2004. Okay. Well, interestingly, and I'll just do a little sidebar here. When I was in Houston working with Kidder After New York, there was a gentleman there named Bruce Garrison, who actually was the father of as we now know them, the Real Estate Investment Trust, REITs, publicly traded. And so he was we were not in the same office, I might have taken a different path had that been the case. But it's interesting to see over the years how much Wall Street is an impact that the different securitization of assets and asset classes has impacted commercial real estate. And that's one of the things, when we talk about CMBS and now with financing and so forth, it is, as you described earlier, still the Wild West. A lot of, I think, residential agents look at commercial and they really don't understand what it's all about. When you look at a company that does residential that has a commercial arm such as you, I mean, you guys really operate totally independently with the exception of referrals. And you have your own sort of kingdom that you play in, right? Your own sandbox. Is that the way it works?
Yeah. So an EXPI is the holding company that we started, EXP Realty. And I said it's on the backbone of success and learning, but commercial real estate being a separate company, growing it as true commercial to service and help the residential part of our company that does some smaller balance commercial. And the EXP commercial, I would say, is now growing to more of an institutional phase that after 2 years of growing and building, we've gotten great traction. I did tell so many people with EXP commercial, it's like joining EXP 5 to 6 years ago, but knowing you're going to be successful, right? But it's just making sure growing it, building it, doing it right, building the platform, and now adding some of the commercial services, especially now, last cycle, there was receivership business, right? REOs in the realty world. Now we believe it's REO in the commercial world. We're seeing what's happening in the office building, almost taking a page out of what happened retail-wise 20 years ago. There was the retail collapse. We were discussing, is retail over? No, it's not over. It just changed. Is office over? No, it just changed. But it does take time to reprice, readapt to these new office buildings. Some are functionally obsolete, right? You can't put housing. You don't know how to build it. Some may have to, unfortunately, be lost, torn down, and reapplied. But usually office are in core areas. They're good, location. They're in prime location. What do we do with it? So that's the exciting things in commercial. There's always different things moving, and there's always an opportunity as long as you're nimble, open-minded, and you plug in with everyone.
James, what is your avatar? What is your perfect commercial agent prospect look like for EXP Commercial?
You know what? I've done so many interviews with commercial agents, and I've actually boiled it down to this. The people who I found that were most successful in commercial real estate, right? Not to say there's other services or you're smart, but who has the grit, perseverance? Military, athletes, entrepreneurs. They know how hard and how many hours you need to put in to win, to keep going, right? Not, I have a title, I have a degree, I have this, I have that. You start from the bottom, calling, engaging, building your business, right? From the very basics. And that's what you need to be a good commercial real estate agent. And I said, it doesn't mean that you have to stay there for long. Many good commercial agents, I always say, learn on other people's time and money. You'll get mentored. And then you start doing syndication. You start doing development. You start branching out until you make so much money. As we know, you diversify. You start buying a lot of buildings. You start doing other projects. You start investing in other businesses. I would just tell, it when you're kind of being crazy when you invest in indie films and bars. Don't do that. So you're going to drink your profits and everything. So that's how I know, because I've gone through the lives. All right, there you go, Cliff, right? That's how you know you're making too much money and you don't get to get an ROI besides it's cool, or you see your name as a executive producer, but then you're like, I'd rather buy some hard asset and diversify.
Yeah. Well, back in the day when I was in grad school, a lot of the guys that went to work, for the big real estate companies, they had to start out on the ground. I mean, here they are with the MBAs, and they'd start out as leasing agents or, just doing, basic buyer tenant rep and stuff like that. What's the way how do you get into the commercial business now?
Well, it's still a lot of it the old school, but because the internet and ways of connecting, right? There's coaching, there's so much material. And this is the one thing I said, anyone could read a book. Anyone has these courses. It's the soft skills. It's the mentoring. You need to learn from people who wants to teach, how to share. So you can read a book, get the basic knowledge, but the practicality within a product type, you need to learn it. You need to be at these meetings. You need to see how the soft skills, the negotiations, the trust building, the motivation finding, right? Why are you doing this? What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? How do you want to grow? Where are you 5 to 10 years later, right? Without asking and getting to know your client, a little bit of Wall Street and finance, you need to really understand them so well, their family, what they need to accomplish before you start throwing out answers, telling them a price on their building. Learn the client, get to understand them, find their motivation, find their vision and plan before you start throwing out numbers, because it doesn't matter. That's just numbers. Find out about them. And I think once you grow from there, you're part of their family, you're part of their team. And earning trust and respect is so important because it doesn't happen overnight. And that's why I tell people in commercial, it is very true. We all know each other. If you screw up, everyone will know you screwed up. Everyone will know what type of person you are. No one's perfect, but there are things that you do that is a no-no that can get you in trouble, but worse, ruin your reputation, that then nobody wants to work with you, because we can always pick up a phone, find out exactly who you are, or they could say, that's a great person. I've worked with them before. I know their reputation. You're going to have a great time and get to know them. That person's a good person, right? It is so important in commercial because it's such a small group. We all know each other very, very well.
It's so interesting that as you describe those skills, I can't stop from going back and thinking about what you said about the perfect background. We've talked about this before about Robert Kiyosaki, how he was asked at one time, what's the best background or path to go through to be successful in real estate? His answer was military, and that's what you said. That was one of the things, because you learn the leadership skills, those so-called soft skills, I guess, and then integrity is everything on the commercial side. James, you also have quite a history as an entrepreneur. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've done yourself.
Well, I've always been curious, right? I like to tinker under the hoods and learn. And obviously, when we're younger, we look from afar. In commercial real estate, by building your wealth, you start buying other buildings, buying other companies, putting together other companies, selling it off. And then if you start serving enough, volunteering, getting your name out there, people do ask you to sit on boards, sit on advisory boards, invest in their company. And so you get to learn more, see more, hear more, invest more, and be part of many different entrepreneurial businesses, from REITs, from syndication, from development, yes, even movie projects, startup restaurants. I mean, you name it. Because once they know you paid your dues, you have some money in your pocket, you have a base, you have a reputation, people do reach out and engage you for advice. And a lot of times they say, would you love to consult? Would you love to sit on the board? Would you love to do this? They want to get you involved because of just what you've done in the past. And so that's the really fun thing about, building your wealth, building your reputation, and people start reaching out to you, and building your social media. It is so important now. Everyone before was word of mouth. Who do I call? Do you have a recommendation? Part of different country clubs or different organizations. But now with social media and building your social media presence and reputation, this is powerful. You can now engage worldwide. And I'm sure, right, the Cliffs, you guys get called and asked, and people reach out that you're like, wow, I didn't even know this person, but they're watching Cliff Notes. They've seen what you have done. So they reach out to you. And then I always say, this is where you can start building a relationship, building a friendship, seeing where it goes.
Social media is huge. I don't care where you are. You must be under a rock if you're not trying to get into, an avenue that you can find your niche in the social channels.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Social media is, it's just kind of a part of the name of the game now, right? It's just another pillar to your business that you got to include.
For sure. It's the old what newspapers were back, 30, 40 years
Yellow
ago,
pages, right?
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, James, I'm going to ask you a question here, but I'm going to loop back to the EXP commercial part of it. What kind of tools does EXP commercial offer agents if they're looking to get, acclimated with what EXP offers on the commercial side?
And that's a great question in commercial. You could stay in a product type. So there's multifamily, retail, office, industrial. There's leasing, their business op, right? As the core transactional. Our company's full service doing all of those different commercial brokerage part from the transaction. We always call it the 4 food group, the development with the land, raw land, entitled land, what you can do it, infill, agricultural, triple net deals, right? The coupon clippers, to business opportunities. And that's the really exciting part. So with all 3 verticals, you do use different tools. We do have a core part of the company that you can put yourself in, connect with each other, building product specialty groups, to the different packaging systems, CRMs, to a back office system, and then working with all these different other technology, because we know technology keeps changing, keeps growing. You got to find something that's more enterprise scalable, APIs plugging in, because our company does so much. And I see this opportunity working with many of these tech groups, which are friends of mine, that we can put these puzzle pieces together, collaborate to get data and information. And the biggest thing is connect with everyone to pass referrals to serve your clients. So we can find somebody in a different part of the world as a residential agent. They may need somebody to do a lease, a business opportunity, finance that we're starting to grow in different parts, like the company, Cliff, that we're working with, right? There's so many parts, but it is building the tech to connect and getting the people together and making sure we're just doing it at the speed of technology where we can start making things happen. And I do believe at EXP, we're doing it right here. And many people, and I always love this, competition breeds, better service to the client, because everyone is following the path. And in commercial, we're ahead of the game, but never rest on laurels. Keep pushing, keep driving, be hungry, right? Be passionate about it and just keep building on it. And I always say one thing about EXP, we're changing the way commercial looks, how commercial is done, building success and wealth so you can give back and help others. Very core. And I know Glenn and our entire leadership and all of our agents have that right philosophy.
I love the way you say that we're really on the cutting edge, because we are. When I just look at ComLoan, you read the statistics, excuse me, the headlines are that, commercial lending is a train wreck right now. Of all the bank-owned loans and assets, 70% of them are with small banks. The big 4 stopped doing loans, in the last quarter of last year. A friend of mine, Ross Perot Jr., who has Hillwood Development here, said, "Man, if we can't get loans for developers and builders, we are going to have a real estate recession." I mean, we're seeing systemic changes right now in terms of where the capital is going to be coming from. Private sources, secondary sources, non-bank sources of traditionally bank type loans we're going to see. And what's really interesting about ComLoan, which is a preferred partner for EXP Commercial, very tight, very close relationship, is that just the model itself is so radically disruptive in terms of how loans are going to be originated and sourced by mortgage loan originators. All of these different types of lenders can play together on one platform in one microcosm, and that's going to be the ComLoan platform, where you can get access to all these different lenders in one place. Let me ask you, how important do you think it's going to be going forward, especially if you look at multifamily and office and other things, for these owners to be able to locate different sources of capital over the next 2 or 3 years, James?
It's key, because commercial real estate is not like residential where it's sold to Freddie, Fannie, right? There's one secondary agency market that can buy commercial, because there's location, there's different products, there's different sizes. More than ever, you need to connect technology wise, because when before it used to be you meet a friend, they only have access to a certain amount of products. And if they can't fit it in their box, too bad, go find somebody else. But how many times do you have to keep shopping around to find it, especially now? Liquidity is drying up for sure. To now find as many debt, mezz, the middle piece, private money lenders, other people globally that may be able to invest and put money to salvage your deal, kick the can down the road, right, with the higher interest rate, because many people from the 2019 to 20, you bought wrong. And we all know that. The numbers are all wrong. And right now, people need to, well, again, what we said in the COVID time, survive to 2025. Oh boy, well, you better survive to 2025, maybe even 27 with all the changes of everything that's going on. So using technology for the data, and I always love the way Glenn and we had a meeting to share about ChatGPT AI. It's doing it faster, right? That we can plug in to find that right quote, to build the capital stack, not just on the debt side, but the middle piece and maybe some limited partners, another JV partner, other parts of the capital market. But now it really is using tech faster to solve problems and look at it rather than, well, nope, I looked at it, I underwrote it, can't do it. Oh, go to another person, because by that time you're going to lose your building. You're going to be in default. The banks are going to cut screaming down. You're going to end up in court. You're going to lawyer up. You know, it's a scary thing. But now you have certainty, you have understanding quicker, right? I don't ever say delay to the last minute. Don't ever do that. But now you can get some answers quicker so you can have more time to solve your problem.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Tell us a little bit about the global reach for EXP Commercial now.
Well, you know, I always love what our company is doing with our leader, Michael Valdez, that's in charge of growth, growing to 42 different countries. Right now, we're building primarily in the US, but building a very solid base. And I'd say putting a little baby step, dipping our toes, helping Canada, hopefully Mexico, with some of the tools, the data, you know, best practices. It's a different market, right? Different country to understand, to build it right? Not build it fast, build it right with the right teams. And if we do it like the US, we will be the fastest growing commercial up there too. And now we can be commercial all around the world and really show these opportunities, because the money, the opportunities is commercial. We always say commercial starts with the land. Well, everything starts with the land, right? It's the properties that the residential sells with the land. So a lot of things start with commercial and readaptive as things are changing from the urban cores out to the suburbs. People are getting out of the big cities or adjusting and finding other places to live economic wise. And also with supply chain, things are moving around, right? Out of China into other countries, moving it around. We saw what happened. So it is a very exciting time. It's hard. We're going through a lot of changes, high interest rate, but we all know through hard times are opportunities, as how EXP spawned out of the 2009. So I'm very curious of what's going to be innovated and created this time.
Yeah. What do you see? I mean, you're in your role, in your position, you get a great bird's eye view of the whole country. How do you see the different markets behaving right now? I've been told that, you know, we live on the residential side, we have a bit of a bifurcated market. There's half of it's doing great, the other half is not doing so great. What does it look like on the commercial side?
Well, you know, a good way to watch this is if you watch unemployment, if you watch what's happening in cities, the domino effect. If you start losing big cores, big businesses, moving of headquarters, it's that trickle effect, right? Your residential prices will drop. You don't need to live in the big cities anymore. And just using those as a big example, you know, some of the big cities, I don't need to name, you know, politically what, but if you look at them, you don't go back to the office. How things are run. Businesses are leaving. People are already not going back to the office. So now what's sustaining the infrastructure of the small businesses, retail businesses, support system? Gone. What happens to the residential when those are gone? Gone. And it's this domino where we do say residential leads commercial, because we see they're always the canary in the coal mine from tech innovation. And if they go first through some blip, it affects commercial, right? Because that means no one's going to the office, there's unemployment. But this time it's different. Where the office building, because of remote work, now the offices have been basically imploded. Big cities have separated out, right? Changed the way their central headquarters to move out of the big cities into now smaller suburb areas. But now the big cities with different, let's say, rules and laws, regulations, different policies to now not going back to work. What happens to the retail? What happens to all the support? People used to walk around these downtowns, eating, supporting, they're gone. And then other things get trickled down. So now we all know we don't want to drive in traffic. That's why we move closer to these urban cores, is we don't have to drive. Well, now you don't have to be there. So these homes are going to drop in prices. You can see. So it's this effect. But then outside, in the secondary, sometimes tertiary markets, or certain states and cities that are run in a different way, are changing. And those are the ways to track, right? Affordability, lifestyle. Those are the big ones right now, that now if you don't have to be in the major metros or around them, that's why people are moving to the secondary, tertiary cities. And you could track those successes. And it is a supply demand, right? Certain places, because of rules and regulations, supply demand. There's enough inflow of people from different countries to still maintain the price. And that's why we see in some of the very expensive cities, because there's a lack of supply. So that's a supply demand. But when you see these other secondary, tertiary markets move, it's because people are moving. They don't have to be in the big city. Their dollars that come gets translated a lot more. And you've seen the secondary markets spike up. I mean, I heard some people say almost quadrupled the price prior to the pandemic, right? It is really crazy and fast of what is happening. But now infrastructure is getting moved because they got to build it with the inflow of different people coming into the cities or different areas. So you start seeing a lot of, maybe not the big services, but they are building in the secondary, tertiary cities. And that's why you see the triangle within the Southeast. We've been talking about this for a while. Huge amount of opportunities from Tennessee to parts of Texas on one side, all the way, let's say, to Florida, but Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri. We've been tracking it, watching it. Lots of growth, lots of success there.
It's just been it's amazing to see, this sort of redistribution of wealth that we're going to see here. That's just from market forces is really interesting to watch. Which brings me to a question. You're the president of eXp Commercial. What I'd like you to do for our audience is open up your president's book of secrets and share with us what thought leaders and who you follow in the commercial real estate industry.
That is a great question, because I've always talked about mentorship, how important it is. I always follow the next step up. So when my friends I would say in the 90s, I follow and still friends with them, to the 2000s, to the 2010, to now. And it is important to be involved in different trade groups, stay in front of different economists, different groups, because one thing I don't want is many times is being in a silo. So I do find experts in entertainment, legal, sometimes, automotive, or just different sources, because the worst is to sit in a silo where everyone's speaking the same echo chamber. That I do talk within the realm of my business, especially financial people. And then I look at other people in different parts of the country and different parts of the business to get them to help me. But I do learn a lot from volunteering in different trade groups like NAR, like many of the commercial trade groups, stayed friends. Many of my friends were past presidents or CEOs, and I could pick up the phone and ask them to share notes, to hear what's going on. And yes, I talk to a lot of tech people, startup tech, like Second Century Venture, NAR Reach, and other startup tech incubators with Silicon Valley and everything else, good friends and people that I learn from, hear what's going on. So it is very exciting. and learning from as many people, not just your core business.
I'm trying to see. I'm trying to get some more names out of him here. How about John Burns? Do you follow John at all?
I don't think so. No.
John Chang over at Marcus and Millichap.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a
Yes.
great find. And so again, what there I know we've got an audience of residential realtors that are watching this and they're just going, "Wow, this sounds like a lot more fun than what I'm doing." Is there a way that you see or a path, and in particular, would it be possible that somebody make a transition from residential real estate into commercial, or can you do both? I mean, can you be a master of both, or how would this work, James? If I'm really interested in pursuing something on commercial, how should I get started with that?
I would always say learn, join an association or a trade group, find a mentor. That's the important thing. Pick up a book, listen to a podcast, just simple things, right? Don't always say, I'll do it later, I'll do it there. Just do baby steps until it intrigues you enough. Find some passion, whether the easiest I always say is multifamily, the easiest sale is a lease deal. So depending on financial or something easy. But it is really as picking up a book, taking a Udemy course or other courses, watching on YouTube. And right now, everything's on YouTube, like you are, right? And everything else. It is so important that just getting it started, then plugging in. Join one of those CCIM, SIOR, ICSC, or NAR commercial. Just plug in, get to know people, talk to people, collect cards, stay on top of. If you're really interested, want to commit, get a mentor. And then sometimes you jump right in to true commercial, all commercial, or you take the baby steps, right? You still take care of your residential clients while you pass a deal. And this is the best. Pass a deal to a commercial agent and say, I want to work. I just don't want to refer. I want to work with you and learn from you. And don't worry about, I need 50-50. I need this. No. The knowledge from the best person is the best type of education. You want to find the best commercial agent in your market. So you can say, I got a deal for you. Even if it's 100%, I don't want anything. I want the opportunity to learn, to shadow you, to understand. And that is invaluable. And sometimes people count the money before they say, wow, the experience and knowledge, and better yet, the connection with somebody of that stature. Here's a deal. Let me give you something. I just want to learn from you. Very rarely, unless they're really big and they'll say no, but their juniors or other people that are pretty good on their team or somebody else will say, yes, thank you. And then they will reciprocate. But these are the things that I always believe you should do to open your network, show abundance, and keep growing with other people. And the friendship connection is more valuable than the money.
So glad to hear you say that, because that to me is the choir. So as I speak and I look around the audience, I can see you out there. I know that some of you that are doing a lot of residential business, you probably don't realize that many of your self-employed borrowers are business owners. And James, in fact, I think we're probably going to have a little company meeting, maybe a Come to Jesus company meeting on Friday, tomorrow, with our group of 103 agents here in Dallas, and suggest that they go through their book of business, through their sphere and their contacts, and see who could be a potential business owner, because business owners also are commercial customers as well. They just don't think of you, the residential agent, as somebody who could help them with commercial. Tell me about, do you guys see referrals from EXP residential agents? I mean, does that create a meaningful deal flow for you guys?
A tremendous amount, but only for those that spend the time to work our workplace, to build friendships and relationships, to plug into large groups. It is not just automatic. It takes consistency and effort. But if you do that, I've seen the best agents get referrals and junior brokers wanting to learn because you put in effort, you put in consistency. You always reach out to help. You're there, you're present. And people say, wow, I see this person versus that person, or no person, right? Because you're not there. You could be the best person since sliced bread, and it doesn't matter. You're not present. You're not there. So you're not available. So if you are just tapping in, some people say they have so much business, so many juniors that they don't even know what to do with it. Right. And that's the exciting thing, because with the 88,000 growing, there's so many referrals and leads. And as we build more connections, connect more on any ways to speed it up, there is just so many opportunities. But I would like to take this time too to say, for anyone listening, follow us on LinkedIn, because I said for a lot of business people and commercial, we're all on LinkedIn. So on EXP Commercial, learn what we're doing, see what we're doing, follow us. And if you are not part of the company, it's good to see what we're working on, to learn some tips, tricks, what we're innovating, where we're at. But if you are part of it, I always say this to the agents: follow it, share and like it, make comments, because this is what you said, Cliff. I didn't know your company did commercial. I didn't know you did this. That opens a conversation, because as we're growing our commercial so quickly, by just sharing it, liking, following it, it allows clients in your sphere to say, wow, I didn't know. Then you do the three-way, or you connect to an expert immediately, and we will solve your problems. And then you can say, I want to learn. So bring me on the meetings. I don't care so much on the first couple of dollars, because it just grows and compounds. And I'll tell you, the best agents to work with are commercial. True commercial. We don't do residential. We will pass you leads and referrals. And I'll tell you, our clients that have 10, 25, 50, or $100 million or bigger, they don't live in a small home. They live in a mansion, anywhere from $1 million. I've seen some with one of our commercial agents sold a $50 million home resort almost, because they were, we don't do that. So we would definitely pass off. And many from land and construction and development plug in with us, because as we're developing, we'd love to give the business back to our own company, is to start the new sales. There's so many developers in our company, and so many more people coming that actually ran other big companies or did their own for ground up construction, mixed use conversions. Boy, you want to talk to those commercial brokers, because they won't sell it. They'll cut a deal with you, and you could be their new sales, where they're with their condos or PUDs or any other mixed projects, or the contels, right? The hotels with some of these others. There are so many opportunities collaborating with commercial real estate agents.
That is exciting.
That gets me. That gets my chili hot.
That got my residential agent chili hot for sure. Yeah. That's a whole new world, a whole new opportunity for people to look at. And what a great time,
Right, especially with the market.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the thinning of the herd going on the residential side. People are getting out of the business, and then other people are looking for other opportunities to get involved in. And I actually started out on the commercial side, back 30, however many years ago it was when I got my license.
37.
30. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah. Are you that old? Golly, I can't believe it. But I, I've always wanted to get back into it, and it just seems like I know a lot of people have a hard time seeing how to get over to the commercial side, but I mean, we just laid it out for them right here on the show. And
yeah.
James, I mean, that's fantastic, and I appreciate you pouring into everybody here. If someone wanted to really start to follow EXP Commercial, what's the website? Is it expcommercial.com, or what, EXP Realty Commercial, or what is it, James?
Yes, it's www.expcommercial.com. So that is the way to bring you to our website. The other one, I always say, people that follow us on LinkedIn, we're really building our LinkedIn presence, connecting with everyone. So on LinkedIn, I said everyone, regardless, residential, commercial, business, you should set a LinkedIn profile, build it right. It is so important to use it for a resume builder, connect with so many people. Very important. And then follow us and like it on EXP Commercial to know what we're working on. But those in EXP, like it, follow it, share it, or anyone else, because it's a big collaborative world. I always say, where I started from, still at one of the big trade conferences with ICSC, walking by all the booths, hugging all my friends from all the other big companies, independent companies. Some people went to tech, some people went to services. You just never burn bridges, and you just talk to everyone and share, and everyone's giving you these nuggets. But also in EXP, we offer and I'll send this to you, Cliff, that there is a training program that we offer to everyone within our company to really diversify your business, right? Right now, we say don't be idle. Use this extra time to learn a new skill. I would say you got to learn AI Chat GPT. I'm taking tons of courses right now because ever since I learned from Glenn and the team, I was so into it. And before I went into this, I was a biochem. And if I wasn't going to be a biochem, I would be a EE, electrical engineering, or CS, a computer science. So I have that, STEM brain, and I still love it. I would say I'm a nerd at heart. So I love to learn and soak up knowledge, and this Chat GPT AI, it just excites the hell out of me. And I'm just pouring in, asking questions and learning prompt engineering, how to manipulate Dolly, Mid-Journey, everything. I mean, I literally am soaking it up. And this is the funny thing that I learned with these little tips of efficiency. Learning and putting a lot of these tapes on 2 times the speed so you can go half the time. And believe it or not, your mind works so quick that it can absorb the information at 2 times up to whatever speed. So you can go through more content. So it is fun, really, these tricks, tips, ways, collaborating and learning. But I'd love to share with you, Cliff, so you can share with your team. I'll send it to you after this so you can let everyone know how to diversify your business, how to learn it, how to plug in. And I always say, here to help the whole family of our family and anyone else, because diversity is a big thing. Volunteering for everyone to teach them. There's no secret. You don't need to go to an Ivy League school. You don't need to be pedigree. You don't need to be born or grown up in a ultra wealthy. You could be anyone and everyone to learn commercial real estate. And it really is the will to learn, open-minded to plug in, serving the community, and you will see things just blossoming like you can ever imagine, to really then give back, help your local communities, help other people, right? That is the big why. And I'll tell you, since 2009, lost everything and I found myself again. And it's that passion of serving and helping and just giving back, that makes every day a blessed day.
James, you are such an inspiration to have here to get all of the crazy nuggets that you've just poured out here. If someone, say there's another more commercial broker or agent at another firm right now, and they were interested in learning more about the EXP opportunity, what's the best way for them to reach out to you? Would it be LinkedIn or what?
I would say that's the best way. And so many people have reached out to me in LinkedIn. So if you go to www.linkedin.com, James Huang, you see the name there. I should pop up. I think I still look the same. I think I didn't wear the glasses, but I still look the same. So if you take a picture, use the name, plug it in, reach out to me. And I always love to give back, help other people. So I try to make time. As everyone knows in the company, I get up at 5 a.m. I keep working and I keep working. That's why my voice is this tired sometimes. But I just have such passion and compassion for this business and giving back and helping others. I just love it to the day they have to carry me out. But I'm going to be there giving back and keep going. As we know, once we get ourselves free, like you said with Kiyosaki, that the income matches our expenses. We're free. When you have freedom, you can give back. You can go and do so many things. You can serve others. There are so many fabulous things you can do. And you will see, you will be so fulfilled inside through giving and sharing and helping. Life would be with so much more meaning.
Tony Robbins said, you reach the peak of life when you can give without the expectation of getting anything back. And that's what really it's all about. James Huang, ladies and gentlemen, there he is, the president of EXP Commercial. James, I can't thank you enough for being here. I'm excited for our paths to cross again soon. Excited to be working with you on ComLoan. And I'm excited to see how many lives you can change in the next few years at EXP Commercial. And we're going to be right there with you, my brother.
Stride for stride.
Yep, right there, hand in hand. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you saw it right here. Guarantees delivered. That was hot.
A lot of rider downers today, Mr. Freeman.
Lots of rider downers.
That was fun.
That
Yeah,
was
really
great.
good.
James is such a
Yeah.
great guy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here, because if it wasn't for you, obviously we wouldn't be here either, would we?
yeah.
All right, so we're in town for a bit, for a while.
Yes,
So
yeah.
we will definitely be back next week, and we'll look forward to seeing you right here on
Cliff
Cliff's Notes. So tune in every Thursday where we'll give you the tips, tricks, and tactics to explode your business. I guarantee it.